From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Wednesday, October 15th. Here's what we're covering on today's episode. Both the state and its largest school districts celebrated improvements in students' reading scores, with lesser progress seen in math scores as well. With more on this development, I'm now joined by the Journal's education reporter, Noah Kalabak, who's been following this story. Noah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So Noah, this obviously very welcome news for both APS and state officials. What can you tell us about where exactly we saw jumps here for students?
Yeah, that's correct. Reading score or proficiency for the state jumped pretty much 10 percentage points according to PED. APS, similar success. They saw about a 6 percentage point jump. However, yeah, as you mentioned, math, not as big of a jump. You got about a 1 to 0 percentage point change for PED and kind of what they're reporting in the math scores. APS, reported just over 2 percentage points in proficiency jumping. So, yeah, incremental kind of changes there. Now, you haven't mentioned this yet, but the district did see their But the district did see a slight decline in the science proficiency ratings, about a 3 percentage point drop. And PED reported kind of a similar statewide trend as well, with proficiency in science coming down a little bit from the previous year.
And no, I want to touch on something that you mentioned in that answer, and that is how APS's data actually kind of mirrored what we saw around the state. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, and I think, Dr. Blakey made the point during her press conference today where she said pretty much, we are the biggest district in the state. And she's right, APS has around 20% of the kids that go to public school in New Mexico. So, she said, if we're improving, the state's probably going to improve as well. And I think that we did see that a little bit with these results. Obviously, APS is going to have, on the overall average for the state, is going to have a lot of weight, or more weight, I should say, than any other district in the state, because it is the largest district in the state. It's, I think, in a lot of people's minds, probably the only urban district in the state as well.
So Noah, in your story, you also actually spoke to a couple of education officials as well, and kind of really discussed where they're seeing areas that might have led to the success we're seeing in these scores. What did they share with you on that front?
Yeah, Blakey and Board President Danielle Gonzalez pretty much said it's largely due to the goals and guardrails that the APS board set back in 2023, and those focused on student outcomes. They wanted to see results reflected in, how many students were ready for college, how many students are passing certain assessments, things like that. And Blakey took time to credit the teachers as well. Now, as we note in our story, I spoke with Ellen Bernstein, who's the longtime president of ATF, the Albuquerque Teachers Federation, and she said, a lot of these teachers have a ton of work that they have to do to prepare for this. They're shouldering a huge workload. So, while we should celebrate this, I think she sees that there's a huge emphasis on standardized testing, that the teachers that she represents have a large workload to try and prepare for this and get these scores up. Yeah, so that's kind of the teachers union perspective on things.
So officials across New Mexico and right here at APS celebrating the improvements we saw to students' proficiency scores, but also some teachers union officials warning that teacher burnout and heavy workloads may not be able to be sustainable as well. Journal education reporter Noah Kalabak stopping by to share the latest on this with us. Thanks, Noah. In other headlines from the newsroom, the Albuquerque International Sunport has joined several other major airports nationwide in refusing to air a video from U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem that blames Democrats for the ongoing federal government shutdown. Mayor Tim Keller said political messages have no place in airports, emphasizing that the Sunport's focus remains on traveler safety and experience, not partisan rhetoric. The Department of Homeland Security asked the airport to play the video, which claims Democrats are responsible for TSA agents working unpaid since the October 1st shutdown. New Mexico GOP Chair Amy Barela criticized the decision, calling it, quote, disgraceful, and accusing city leaders of suppressing information. The Sunport stance aligns with airports in New York, Chicago, Arizona, and North Carolina, all of which are declining to show the video amid the political standoff in Washington, D.C. over federal funding and Affordable Care Act tax credits. Starting on November 1st, thousands of New Mexicans could see changes to their SNAP food assistance benefits due to new federal rules tied to the, quote, One Big Beautiful Bill, which was passed in July. The law altered how energy assistance payments, like those from the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, are counted when determining SNAP eligibility, potentially reducing monthly benefits for about 32,000 recipients. As of March, 460,000 people statewide receive SNAP. Households with someone 60 or older or with a disability will still automatically qualify for energy expense deductions, which is worth $408 here in New Mexico. Others must now show proof that they pay their own heating or cooling costs, such as a utility bill or lease, to keep that deduction. The New Mexico Healthcare Authority is urging families to check their eligibility early. SNAP recipients with questions can contact the agency at 1-800-283-4465. That's 1-800-283-4465. Las Cruces police released new details Tuesday about the October 9th fatal shooting of 50-year-old Philip Mullen outside of Chili's Bar and Grill on South Tesher Boulevard. Police video showed Mullen walking silently towards an officer with a claw hammer, ignoring repeated commands to stop before the officer fired 3 shots, killing him within seconds. Earlier that day, Mullen was seen at a local gun shop asking for the cheapest handgun, and hours later allegedly vandalized cars in his neighborhood with a large knife or machete. Around 6 p.m., he entered the Chili's armed with a hammer and knife, threatening patrons after an argument with customers who asked if he was okay. When police arrived, Mullen picked up the hammer from his vehicle and advanced on the lone officer despite 8 warnings to stop. The officer, fearing for his safety, opened fire. Mullen died at the scene. Police Chief Jeremy Story said Mullen had a history of mental illness and prior minor police encounters, but no arrests. The officer is on administrative leave as a multi-agency task force reviews the shooting. First-term Republican State Senator Nicholas Paul of Alamogordo resigned on Tuesday, citing family health issues. Paul, a real estate broker and business owner, had represented Senate District 33, covering Otero, Lincoln, and Chavez counties. He won the seat unopposed last year. In a statement, Paul called serving in the legislature, quote, one of the greatest honors of his life, and thanked constituents for their trust and support. During his first legislative session, Paul served on the Senate Judiciary, Tax, Business, and Transportation committees, and generally aligned with Republicans on major bills, including opposing the state's $10.8 billion budget and higher oil and gas royalties. He did break ranks at time, backing bipartisan efforts to expand mental health services and create a medical psilocybin program. County commissioners from the 3 districts will now recommend candidates to Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, who will appoint a successor. The resignation does not affect the Senate's balance of power, with Democrats holding a 26-15 majority. And drivers on Albuquerque's East Central Avenue should take note. New speed cameras are now active on Central and San Pedro as part of the city's efforts to curb dangerous driving. Installed on October 6th, the cameras are among 8 new devices being added under a contract with vendor Elevate. Other locations include LED near Bayan Mar, Coors near St. Joseph's, Eubank south of Montgomery, Tramway south of Lomas, and Carlisle near Delamar, the site where cyclist Kayla Van Landingham, 19, was killed in July. The city now operates 22 speed cameras placed using crash data and high injury maps. Since the program launched in 2022, it has issued about 380,000 citations. Officials say the cameras are proving effective. Jennifer Turner, the director of the Department of Municipal Development, said, quote, drivers are slowing down and slower speeds means safer driving. The leading news is powered by the journalism of the Albuquerque Journal. If you enjoy hearing all of the stories we share with you here daily, please consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Journal by utilizing the discount code in our show notes. Every subscription helps support local journalism and allows us to provide you with the news that matters to you. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast, there is a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms today, mainly between 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., mostly sunny with a high near 80. As for this evening, a chance of showers and thunderstorms is likely, mostly cloudy with a low around 55. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back tomorrow.